Good evening and welcome, everyone. Welcome to this circle, a safe community for all, whether you gather with us in this circle here in Edmonton or you're joining us from wherever you are online tonight. We welcome you to this final service of our Christmas Eve gatherings, a quiet and contemplative and reflective time as we gather with each other, creating space for time and reflection about our hopes and dreams for our world. We gather with gratitude on this land as partners in Treaty 6, land that has been home to Cree peoples for generations, traveling route for many First Nations, home to the Métis people, and home for many of us who have made this our adopted land, whether we've come a few generations ago or we've come just a few weeks ago. We gather on this gracious land in gratitude. As we come together tonight, I invite us to center ourselves in this time as we get ourselves from getting here to being here, to offer words as we ground ourselves in this time we share. We'll respond to each other with the words you find before you. We come from a world weary of unimaginable cruelty and unsung goodness. We come from a world of small kindnesses and deep divisions. We retell the stories of our tradition that hope may be born among us. And peace be a night light in our darkness. And so we sing ourselves into this circle with a familiar carol to a tune we have sung for many years and some words that perhaps speak more contemporarily of the world in which we live. Peace on earth.
Oh
We've been lighting our way to this night through the dark weeks of December. At the beginning of the month, we lit a candle for hopefulness, for the world of our hopes and dreams. We lit a candle for hospitality in a world that can be cruel and inhospitable, for the small kindnesses we each seek to bring. We lit a candle for compassion, for that capacity that is within us to be the best human we can be. And we lit our way to this night, lighting a candle for joy in the simple gifts and pleasures of life. Tonight, we light our Christmas candle, acknowledging that we are each born of a great light, of a light that sparked in the universe billions of years ago. And we have been each sung into our lives in one of the creation stories that sings, "Let there be light." And with each of our births, creation sang its song, "Let there be light." And we gather in this light, that in this time together, and because we've been together, we might grow our light and we might shine more brightly in our lives, bringing these gifts to our world. There are so many ways to pray, like that silence we fall into when life is too amazing for words, the things that take our breath away, or the moments that we hold ourselves and struggle for words to express our dreams and our hopes and our fears. As we gather in this circle tonight, we seek to center ourselves in this time in which we are, bringing our hopes for our lives and our world, for our friends and our family. And so, in the limited sense in which we wrap our hopes and dreams around words, we offer these words together as our Christmas prayer, praying with our many voices in one spirit with each other. Like the characters that give us this story, we come as travelers seeking shelter. We come with our hope that when we find ourselves to be lost, we will persevere to find our way. When we are afraid, we will discover our courage. When anxiety threatens to overwhelm us, we will find serenity. When challenges seem to close each door, we will cultivate imagination. As this night becomes a new day, may we awaken to our deepest calling, to be dwelling places of love and light. May it be so. We have two stories that come to us from the first century that give us this night we celebrate. Luke's story is the story we hear tonight, a story we have heard on so many Christmas Eve, a story that goes like this. It was in a time when a decree went out from the emperor that all the world should be registered. This was the first registration that was to take place when Quirinius was governor of Syria, and all went to their own town to be registered. Joseph went from the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to a city that was the ancestral city of David, called Bethlehem, because he was from the house and the family of David. He went there to be registered with Mary, his wife, to whom he was engaged, and they were expecting a child. While they were there, the time came for her to deliver her child, and she gave birth to her firstborn son, wrapped him in bands of cloth, and laid him in the manger because there was no place for them in the inn. In the area there were shepherds living in the fields, keeping watch over their flock. A messenger stood before them, and they were terrified. But word came to them, "Do not be afraid, for I am bringing you good news of great joy, which shall be to all people." This is part of the legend about the birth of Jesus passed down to us from writings late in the first century. Tonight is the 200th anniversary of the first singing of Silent Night. This year is the 100th anniversary of the end of World War I. And 104 years ago, the story of something remarkable that happened during that First World War has been a story passed down and told, the story of a Christmas truce. So we remind ourselves about that story in this video clip. So what is it about this night that tends to soften our edges, lengthen our patience, deepen our hope, lower our defenses, melt our hearts, moisten our eyes? What is it about this night that inspires such song and story, legend and myth, that leads us to believe just anything might be possible? What is it about this night that keeps us singing a carol like Silent Night for 200 years? There's something about the story of that Christmas in 1914 on the Western Front. For whatever mix of legend and fact it contains, it has the power to inspire our hope in the best of our humanity. As the story goes, 104 years ago, there was something about that night that was powerful enough to silence guns, to draw enemies out of their trenches, bury their dead side by side. Something that allowed them to risk moving toward one another, to exchange gifts, sing carols, share food, play games, to create an impromptu and unauthorized Christmas truce between British and German soldiers. There's something about this night in 1914 that allowed those who have been ordered to kill one another to lower their guns and extend their hands, to show one another pictures of their families, to wish for peace even in the midst of a brutal war. And it was an act of peace that came from those on the front line, not from the brass at the top. It was spontaneous and it was subversive. It was against the will of those in power. The risks were many, from being an enemy to a traitor. It was a moment of defying war to make a gesture of peace. And there's something about that first century story that gives us this night we celebrate. With whatever generous mix of myth and pinch of history it holds, it has the power too to inspire our hope in the very best of our humanity. It has all the ingredients of any good archetypal story. It's got the villain beginning with Caesar Augustus, the emperor himself ordering a census to increase the tax burden and tighten the control on an occupied people. And then it has those who do the emperor's bidding and carry out orders forcing citizens to be displaced from their homes, undertake perilous journeys to their ancestral towns. And then there are always the unsuspecting heroes, like those shabby sheep keepers who overcome their fear and follow their hearts to welcome the birth of a child. And then there's the good-hearted peasant parents who find shelter in an unlikely place. And those who helped bring this child into the world, that the story leaves us room to imagine that there might be a generous Bethlehem resident, a midwife, an innkeeper, someone prepared to offer space and shelter, perhaps a soft-hearted Roman soldier defying orders and helping the poor find shelter that night. The possibilities of the inevitable cast of heroes are limited only by our imaginations. There is something about this night that causes even the most sophisticated of us to dig out old bathrobes out of our closets and tie tea towels on our heads and take our place somewhere in this story. And for the best dressed of us, to present our jewel-studded empty boxes wrapped in tinfoil to a doll lying in a bale of hay. What is it about this night that in we reenact a story that doesn't seem to get worn out, that allows us to believe in ourselves again, to see the best in one another, to know the possibilities in our truest and deepest humanity. We come to this night again and again to remember that we're intimately related to the sky and the sheep and the stranger. That we want to remind each other that love trumps hatred, words intentional. That war cannot bring peace. That the emperor and the kings, the Augustuses and the Herods, the rulers and their lackeys don't speak for us. That no empire lasts forever. That we together can find and make the peace we seek. And so we flood at this story with soft light that warms a drafty stable, made heroes of those who listened to voices that came from the sky, honored a man who ignored his male privilege that would have allowed him to stone his fiancée for unfaithfulness, celebrate the strength of a courageous woman who births a child in a brutal time, cheered the fear that the birth of a peasant baby could bring to a paranoid king, and celebrated the subversively good news that imperial power is threatened by one who inspires a radical vision of a community of equality in the midst of a corrupt and soul-eroding empire. On this night, in the midst of all the possibilities deep in this story, we see the possibilities deep within ourselves, wrapped in every piece of flesh, every bit of bark, every sliver of stardust, the potential for us to recover our reverence for life and for each other, to deepen our compassions and broaden our love and widen our hope and heighten our capacity to imagine what is truly possible between us on a night just like this, on any night. This storied night has the power to remind us of the holiness of our humanity, which no government, no policy, no lie, no leader has the power to take from us if we will honor the truth of the best of our humanness with our resistance and our persistence. So maybe we return to this story year after year to reboot our commitment to be the best that we can be, the best of what we can be, together with the cast of humanity. So we consider these possibilities as we hold silence with one another about what this story might mean and what it might inspire in us this night. For almost 20 years now, churches across the city of Edmonton have been supporting a campaign each Christmas season called No Room in the Inn. Every year, a different housing project is supported with gifts that are received on Christmas Eve from congregations across the city. So tonight, our gifts are in support of a housing project with Youth Empowerment and Support Services, YES, formerly known as the Youth Emergency Shelter, to help refurbish the facilities at YES to provide for homeless youth in Edmonton. So as you are able, I invite you to give what you can this evening in support of that project. If you make your gifts payable to SSUC or Southminster Steinhauer United Church, and on the reline in your check, simply note No Room in the Inn. Any cash can go into the envelopes that you have if you want to receive a tax receipt, if you just complete the information on the envelope. So we take time to support, as we're able, the campaign for No Room in the Inn. As we seek to give expression to what it is about this night that inspires us to live more truly and more faithfully to the values we hold dear, we celebrate two rituals at the close of this gathering, a ritual at the table and a ritual of candle lighting. In the words I speak, from time to time, you'll hear the words, "We come in the quiet of this night." And when you hear those words, I invite you to respond with the words, "We come in gratitude." Approaching midnight and in anticipation of morning light, we come in the quiet of this night. Knowing an ancient love sings from within us, having sung its song long before us and will sing its song long after us, having made itself known in every culture and every spiritual tradition, recognizing this song in our experience and in our stories, we come in the quiet of this night. Recognizing the capacity of life's light to shine in our lives and even in the midst of our fears, in the midst of our challenges and our reluctances, we come in the quiet of this night. And we remember our great wisdom teachers, those like Jesus of Nazareth, who have taught us love and commitment, compassion, forgiveness, mutuality, equality. And this night, we remember the stories of one whose birth has inspired so much music, drama, story, legend, myth, and a life that inspires us to live the values he taught. As we remember, we come in the quiet of this night. If you are hungry for community and if you are thirsty for justice, if you hunger for hope and peace and love and joy in the world, you have a place at this table. You are most welcome. You don't need to be a member of this or any church to feel welcome to share bread and juice, signs of our commitment to live the candles we have lit this night, to live hopefulness and compassion, hospitality, and joy. We come in the quiet of this night. We welcome you to use this time in whatever way you choose. You're welcome to come to the table, receive a piece of bread, dip it in the cup as bread for your journey, as the cup of community to which we are joined with one another as one common humanity. You're welcome to take this time to be where you are in your place, to use this silence to reflect on your year, your life, this day, the gifts that you celebrate, the hopes that you have. So you are welcome to come as you choose, as we share together bread for our journey and a cup of community. As we join in the tradition of singing Silent Night, I invite us to grow the light in this room with one another as we pass our light throughout our circle. If you would tip your unlit candle into your neighbor's upright lit candle as we pass our light and sing this ancient carol with one another. We go to do what we were born to do, to shine in our time, to shine with hope and hopefulness, to shine with compassion and care, all that we can. We go together to create more light in a dark and difficult time. And we go knowing no power can extinguish the light of love. Merry Christmas.